police take him in, and the following audio is the never-before-heard interview from that night.
The never
It has been analyzed by a licensed professional counselor.
Me.
Scott,
it was
you
me.
were talking to James out there at your house a minute ago, and he advised you of your rights. Okay, I'm Chad Parton. I don't know if you remember me or not. I worked with your mom up here for many, many years.
Chad Parton working with Scott's mother would almost certainly imply she'd worked as a member of law enforcement. But while Scott's mother, father, and son all being mere feet away asleep in the house while Scott committed this murder, none of their statements or information have ever been released.
Anyway, I'm going to go over your rights again this time since we're up here in the office, okay? If you decide to answer any questions now without a lawyer present, you still have the right to stop answering at any time. You also have the right to stop answering at any time until you talk with a lawyer, okay? This isn't a mission, and it's just that we advised you of your rights, okay? It's right there, Scott.
Unless it's over.
Well, I know you're getting into some details there. You kind of skipped ahead pretty good bit. How did you meet this girl?
She came up to me at the liquor store and said, can I go home with you?
Here in town?
Yeah, at Oak.
What day was this?
Friday.
Is this the girl that you brought in to the house? I mean, your mom and dad saw her.
She also last day
the home detectives are referring to would be that of Scott's mother and father, as 37-year-old Scott had lost his job sometime prior and moved himself and his 14-year-old son into his parents' house. According to a narcissistic narrative spun by Scott, which he repeatedly mentions and embellishes throughout the interview, Lisa had apparently immediately found him so attractive that day. She immediately begged him to take her to his home and had decided she wanted to live with him in his mom's house before they had even left the liquor store. Then, once reaching the house and sitting in the grimy garage where Scott kept all of his Halloween decorations, she apparently couldn't keep her clothes on, and Scott had to repeatedly ask her to put her shirt back on because his parents might return from picking up his son at any minute.
He cap. Will you tell me you don't got no room? You don't got no room?
Considering Lisa was only in Manchester that day to meet with her children, whom, according to those who knew her, she adored more than life itself, it seems far more likely she simply asked Scott for a ride, and the rest of this story is a fabrication, though it's likely we'll never know for sure.
Made what I was drinking on, and she got her a pint of 100 proof vodka, and you come hang out with me. And then she got in her head that she could just move in, and Mom ain't gonna let that happen, We did have, it was consensual, and she wanted to be choked, and us being drunk. And
was this Friday night or was this
Friday night? It got carried away, and I guess I strangled her. And
we got a strangler on our hands. She talking about she wanted to get choked, so it just got carried away, so I strangled her. When did you notice that she needed help, that she needed air? You know what I'm saying? Oh, you liked it. So you choked her to death while y'all was doing it? You was an evil man. You was an evil man, bro. How did she go out like that?
In the garage.
Was you using a rope or?
Hands and a shirt. The shirt's in the garbage can in the garage.
At this point in the interview, Scott once again begins boasting about how into him Lisa was, describing in explicit detail how much she wanted him, how turned on she was by his tattoos, not once mentioning his thoughts or feelings concerning her. It's unclear why Scott is so desperate to convince the detectives that Lisa was interested in him that he's making up unconvincing details. He may be trying to make sure he isn't on the hook for assault, or it's just the narcissistic side of his personality coming through. Either way, detectives just keep trying their best to keep him on track.
Show me how you done that.
And then I got off, I guess. She didn't. She's like, keep choking me. And I kept on. I put a shirt around her neck and tightened it up. And, she's supposed to, when it was, and she never.
He said, hey, the cop said, she supposed to, what, tap out? Like, what is this, a WWE match at this point? You said, hey, yo, he said he was choking her with the hand, right? He's choking her with the hand. Shawty said, nah, all right, I want to be choked somewhere. All right, fuck it, I'm going to take my shirt off, and I'm going to put it around your neck like this, and I'm going to go like this. Hold on. Wait. I thought it was going down. But look, that's wild though. He's a nasty dude, a freakazoid. He a freakazoid.
Fault. She never did. And next thing you know, she's dead. And I'm like, this is great. And I guess I got scared or nervous or I don't know.
Scott's account of strangulation is interesting because according to the autopsy, the soft tissue of the neck above the fourth cervical vertebrae are examined. No soft tissue hemorrhage is seen. The hyoid bone and thyroid cartilage are intact. No contusions of the neck are seen. While the autopsy does
like talk in a regular form, you highlighted the message and then give us every word that I don't know.
conclusively rule that Lisa's death was caused by homicidal violence.
I know that.
No single cause is listed. There were no drugs other than alcohol in her system, and her lungs showed no evidence of smoke inhalation. So exactly how Scott ended her life or why he would feel the need to lie about the exact manner of her death is unknown.
What happened after that, Scott? I mean, you realized that she had passed. Did you try to give her CPR or anything? Did you try to resuscitate her?
Good question.
No, I don't know how to do CPR.
Okay.
You know, I smacked her on the face 2 times and
no response.
Nigga,
you know,
bro! Come on, bro. The fact that you just said, I don't like doing CPR to the girl that you just slept in the bed with, the girl that you just kissed all in the mouth probably, and you just talk about you don't want to do CPR to save her life? Is you stupid? And then you gonna say I smacked her in the face a couple times, wake up. But you were just kissing on shawty. But you can't save her life, bro. You is the nasty dude, bro. Everybody in jail should beat up on this man because everybody in jail want to be in that position of, you know.
Her eyes, and her eyes were not all the way shut.
Yeah.
I pulled up her eyelid and covered, you know, and then moved it. Her pupil didn't dilate or move or nothing. I've been wanting to go into a psychiatric hospital because I've already been having urges. Man, they've just been getting greater and greater, and I don't know if it's what, but before I could get to one. So I've been watching a lot of serial killer stuff. I don't know if that was getting in my head. I've been having some crazy things happening at the house, like as far as unexplainable, supernatural, whatever. I suffer from sleep paralysis. Not sleep apnea, but paralysis. So
hold on. Urges? Watching serial killer movies. Hey, yo.
I'll come to. I'm completely paralyzed and I can't move.
Despite Scott's best efforts to make himself seem troubled or possibly insane, what he's describing isn't a disorder, as it happens to people fairly regularly.
But you're conscious.
Yeah, and not this last time it happened, the time before. Because I looked it up on the internet, and I found out a lot of people that's claimed to be abducted by aliens suffer from it. I've also looked up, it was a demon, and you know, anybody who knows my reputation knows I'm into the dark stuff. Ever this last time, not this last time, the time before it happened, I come to, it was a deep paralysis, and I could hear something above me breathing, and something slid my fan. The way I was laying on the bed, something slid my fan all the way over, like where I look over laying down. Fan stayed running, and that's impossible. That cord's barely long enough to plug in where it was. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, I've had a headache constant. It's been about 2.5 months, and a beeping sound for about 2 weeks. I had an episode, give or take a week ago, and the beeping sound's back in my head. And it's just
ever since then, it's just, it might be bionic.
My thoughts ain't been right.
It might be bionic.
How long have you been out of rehab?
This question, posed by Detective Cheryl, seemingly comes out of nowhere and isn't mentioned at any point in the interview before or after now. Since both of the detectives seem to know Scott from before this crime, it might just be prior knowledge.
I left it. I didn't even stay 24 hours because...
How long ago was it been when you went?
About 2 Februaries ago.
You used any meth in the past couple of months or nothing like that?
Mm-mm.
No pills?
I took an Adderall.
When did you take it?
Maybe a week ago.
Pretty much all you've been doing is drinking, man.
Drinking, smoking weed. I like to do Percocets, Nitros, but I don't take those to get high on them. I've abused my body so much, I hurt.
So once you...
First of all, you got the weed. You talk Percocet. Then you say the nitro, my dude. What you talk about your body? Your body's dying, bro. Talk about weed, nitro, Percocet, weed, nitro, Percocet. Get out of here.
You realize that, and she's there, and you're like, okay. How
My
long
body
did you sit and think, or?
You call anybody, tell your parents?
Mm-mm.
So what happened from there?
I covered her up with a blanket on my love seat. You know, I'm pondering what to do, which I should have just called y'all. But another part of me was wanting, you know, it was like, you done went this far, you know. And that's when I pulled her off love seat and I put her underneath the boat. Kind of threw some stuff on top of her, so in case mom or dad walked out there and looked to see if she was there, you know, because, you know, I walked in and told mom, I was like, well, she's gone. She got mad because I wouldn't stand up to you and let her stand here, and she just took off walking. I waited till they went to sleep, and I guess I just let my twisted side take over. I did.
You know the crazy part? I bet the family did not believe him. Like, soon as you said, they probably was like, now, what's his name is? I'm gonna just say it. Now, Chuck. You know that girl ain't do that. See, my family, they would have told me, stop lying, they. You know that, where that girl at? What really happened? That girl that talked about living with you on the first night. Come on, who doing that?
Personality issues.
It's unknown what Scott's official diagnoses are, but given his potential parasitic lifestyle and the seeming lack of emotion here, it would be tempting to guess that he has a form of antisocial personality disorder. However, without knowing his full history, it's hard to be certain.
After they went to sleep, I pulled her out from underneath the boat, and I gazed on her for a minute. I laid down beside her and was just touching.
Mm-hmm. Was she still warm?
She was starting to lose it, and I forgot what the word is when the blood settles.
Rigor.
No, that's
Pulling.
stiffening.
Pulling.
Yeah. And there's already, you know,
What
splotches.
you mean you was touching
She
her?
was starting to get a little rigor mortis, but not too bad. Her arms, you know, they still kind of, when I drug her
Lay
out, because I
beside
grabbed her
her.
by her ankles, and her arms still kind of,
Still.
but her legs was a little stiff. In my head, I was thinking maybe she's just faking. There's still a part of me that's hoping.
Maybe she just paid.
Is you dumb? Faking? You just killed this girl. She ain't been talking. She been laying right there for 30 minutes. She let you move her all the way to the boat with not resisting. And then you're going to say maybe she's playing? You took her from the house to the boat with her not moving at all. And then you threw her on the boat and you're going to say, damn, she probably just playing. Nah, yeah, bro.
Passed out or something.
Yeah. There's another knife in the garage. It's about this long. Gray blade. Got a machete handle with duct tape on it. And I worked at a slaughterhouse for 6 years, so I know where to go to, you know, any deer hunter or anybody like that that's skinned, you know, you know how to feel the joints. And
This is an interesting justification he tries to make several times throughout the interview, trying to downplay his actions as a totally normal thing any deer hunter or slaughterhouse employee would be able to do, as though there are many people in these fields that would even think of doing something this horrendous. In reality, very few people, regardless of their profession or skill in butchering animals, would even know where to begin when faced with the task of applying their skills to the body of a fellow human being.
Yeah, he know too much. He
taking
can
too
do
long,
detail.
but I started with her head. I cut her head off first.
Bro, didn't I just say he get too detailed, bro? I start off with cutting her head. Like, is I'm making this up?
Put any plastic or anything down, or you just down right there on the floor?
No, that floor was covered with blood.
Did you move the carpet out of there? Like there's green carpet or...
And there's some blue carpet in there. And I was going to pull it up, and my knife wasn't sharp enough
The pocket knife I got off the...
to do what I was wanting to do quickly. So I got the axe, cut off her hands, or at least I busted the bone with the axe, and then I used the knife and I cut off her feet.
Bear in mind that up to this point, Scott has maintained that he had a woman die in his home accidentally, and
Accidentally? He just said, okay, first of all, I hope you still not going with that I choked her accidentally while we was doing the nasty. Because the simple fact is, you killed her. You cut her body up. You put it in a body. You put it, like, he's cooked to the next level. Like, his lawyer's gonna be like, brother, why are you even putting this case around my test, nigga? You're cooked.
Disposing of the body in the quickest way he knew how.
Eating it.
This next part, however, reveals the true depth of his depravity and is one of the most sickening and disgusting confessions we've ever heard.
And I was going to eat some of her, so I kind of cut off some of her, rump and part of her backstrap.
Backstrap is a term used by hunters to describe the long strip of muscle that runs parallel.
This nigga eating my back. No, why are you showing a deer? Show a human backstrap. I want to see a human backstrap. I don't want to see no deer backstrap. He's eating human, right? Show me a human backstrap.
To the animal's spine, and is a particularly prized cut of meat and big game for being the most tender and flavorful, because it isn't a muscle often used by four-legged animals. Because human beings are not four-legged game animals and therefore cannot be split into similar cuts of meat, there's no telling what muscles Scott actually tried hacking out of Lisa's body. But just the fact he thought of doing this at all and goes on to use these terms to describe her body shows.
Yeah, he's describing it as deer meat, bro. That's his problem. He need to stop doing that. You describing it as deer meat like this is something to eat. Nah, bro, that's a human being. She got kids. She got a whole family. You hungry boy. If you wanted that, you could have go to the foundation.
Shows how little regard he holds for her and the life he took. Detectives are understandably thrown by this.
See, did you cut her backstrap out?
Part of it.
Did you keep any of it?
It's all in those buckets.
This is interesting because, according to the autopsy, only the lower arms, legs, hands, feet, and head were present in the buckets when collected by police. No backstrap was found, though again, what exactly Scott is referring to is unknown.
He ate that shit.
But his words flow too smoothly here compared to his other lies. So it seems that regardless of what he managed to actually do, he viewed Lisa as little more than an animal to be slaughtered. He went out of his way to cut out what he thought would be the tastiest portions of her.
The body's underneath the fire pit.
What about the legs? Are they in the buckets or in the fire pit?
Both.
You got a refrigerator or anything?
Did you cook it though, or did you just like on some quick shit?
No. Now I flipped her over and I cut up her belly and reached up and cut her heart out.
What'd you do with it?
I slung it.
Was it out in the yard somewhere?
Did you sling it straight from the garage or to the left?
No, it was like...
He described it like it's a really deer. Like goodness.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of just... Because Mom was coming out.
So you just sort of slung it across the driveway?
Yeah, she kept saying... But Mom and Dad was noticing them talking about, what's Clyde keep smelling? What's Clyde keep smelling?
Clyde seems to be the family dog, though this isn't confirmed.
And this was Friday night?
And this was today. And I went and built a fire. And I tried to burn her remains. And I was going to bury the heads, or the head, and the other body parts.
So the pieces that you cut, the back strap and whatnot, you went ahead and burnt them, or are they in a bucket too?
They're in the buckets.
They're in the buckets. But you never did fry any of her up or cook any of her or nothing, or eat. Did you ever eat any of it?
Yeah.
You did? What part did you eat?
Piece of meat off a leg that while she was in the fire.
While it was cooking? How big a piece do you think it was? It's okay. About the size of an egg?
Yeah.
Was it cooked up pretty good, or was it still semi-raw?
It was juicy. It didn't taste like blood, though. I mean, it tasted like a charbroiled piece of steak.
Similarly to how Scott was trying to convince the detectives of Lisa's burning passion for him, he also seems to be trying to convince them that what he did wasn't despicable or utterly insane, because she just tasted like steak.
Well, let me ask you this. Before you cut her up, or any time during you cut her up, did you drink any of her blood, or did you have with her again?
No.
Okay. So basically what you done, you just got busy of trying to dispose of her. Did you take any other organs out? Just the heart? Okay.
If you really wasn't sure what she said, why don't you call somebody to come up there and check on her?
Because something else is in control.
So in a way you wanted her to be dead?
I don't know what was going on in my head.
It's curious that Scott keeps mentioning how he wasn't in control of his actions while at the same time providing excruciating detail on exactly what those actions were, and at times, exactly why he did them. It's possible that he may be trying to set up a half-hearted attempt at an insanity defense throughout the interview, but isn't really sure how to go about it.
Has she made you mad or anything at night?
Not really. She just irritated me a little bit.
It's clear that detectives are trying to find some possible motive for this murder and the horrific acts that swiftly followed, as it seems unlikely that it was simply an accident. As it turns out, the next part may reveal a bit of what Scott's true motivation might be.
First of all, he's the
I
killer.
mean, you talked about this last time, but I talked to you after Tales. Can't remember if you was telling me that you was reading books about serial killers or if it was the movies you was telling me about.
Was
you reading some books at one time?
I was just studying about them, just watching like biographies.
What's your favorite movie to watch as
Jeffrey
far as
Dahmer.
serial killers?
No, I was doing the biographies, the real
Reading them?
stories, and I'd look up on the internet.
Like Jeffrey Dahmer or
Yeah, my favorite one is Richard Ramirez.
Ramirez. Was he the one that
He was the
Atlanta?
Night Stalker.
Richard Ramirez, aka the Night Stalker, was an American serial killer who terrorized the Southern California region in the mid-80s, killing at least 13 people and assaulting countless others. According to some articles on this case,
Whoa. Midnight Stalker. That's just scary as hell. That's a scary name. Why they giving them names like that?
Scott reportedly wrote on his Facebook page on the day of Ramirez's death, "R.I.P. Night Stalker. Wish I could have met you." However, this couldn't be verified.
The Night Stalker, that's right. With John Wayne Gacy or
I've read about Gacy. I mean, I got on Bad Serial Killer Kick a few years back, and that's all I put on my Facebook was just videos, like, because I don't listen to exactly what you call mainstream music. And, you know, I find videos of serial killers and, you know, by different bands where they're playing and, you know, this video footage of different killers. And I told her, I was like, I'm wanting to check into a psychiatric hospital. I'm just thinking about it too much.
This admission is very interesting,
Well, obviously
as
is,
it could
brother.
suggest that Scott had in
You
fact
are.
fantasized about committing the same types of depraved acts as the serial killers he had an admittedly unhealthy obsession with, which may explain why he was so quick to start destroying Lisa's body so soon after her supposedly accidental
Yeah, 'cause you
demise.
watched all the videos.
Detectives seem to start thinking along the same lines, as their next few questions focus on the ideas presented by the idea Scott may have been acting out serial killer fantasies.
I guess things went sour before I could get to one. Marcus and Ben always kicks me out. I'll be there a day or 2 or 3.
your fun going on.
Yeah,
He's just the only person that you've ever heard like that.
yes.
Have you ever tried doing anything else? Dogs, cats, anything like
I'm an
that?
animal lover.
I thought you had a dog up there one time.
Yeah. I mean, I worked in a slaughterhouse, but
Where'd you
man,
work out? Champions?
worked there on and off for 6 years.
For Charlie and them out there.
Mm-hmm. We had a bad falling out.
So when you were having with her and she wanted you to start choking her out, what was your thoughts? What was going through your head then?
I'm
You
finna
thinking,
kill
this
this
is my
bitch.
opportunity, I'm just going to choke her out and live out one of my
Type shit.
fantasies, or
Pretty much.
opportunity was a knocking, wasn't it?
Yeah. You know what? We was gonna go to a different damn liquor store too, and we was right there about to pull in. And she goes, "Wait." She goes, "You can't go to Oak Candy. You owe that woman money." I was like, "No, I paid her off." So she just went all the way to Oak Liquor
So she
instead of
know you?
stopping at Westmead.
But maybe it was fate. Who knows?
This last statement seems to be Detective Parton taking a weak stab at one of the principles of the Reed technique, perhaps presenting an alternative theory to get Scott to admit to more details because the alternative makes the crime sound not that
She know him from somewhere.
bad.
That's not the first
It's
time.
at this point that the interview deviates from Lisa's cold-blooded murder and takes a rambling turn into Scott's personal life, starting with the other failed relationships with women he's had in the past and the misdemeanor charge for possession of drug paraphernalia that was still pending at the time of the murder, none of which, of course, were ever his fault. It's interesting to note that he blames the paraphernalia charge entirely on the woman he was seeing at the time, saying,
Yeah, it's misdemeanor paraphernalia. And me and this girl hooked up on a blind date. She was from Winchester. I couldn't get her to leave. Somebody called the police or something and said that I was dealing drugs and all this. And I ain't no drug dealer. You know, I'm a user.
This seems to be a running theme in Scott's life, that he never does anything wrong, the bad things that happen to him are never his fault, and that he's so irresistible to crazy women, they all immediately want to live with him. The detectives offer no comment on this, instead trying to steer Scott back to the matter of Lisa. And while Scott does answer their questions, it's now only between stories about himself, random details on his life, or any random thought that seems to cross his mind.
I'm gonna read on here about serial killers and stuff like that, but you thinking about keeping any body parts at all?
It crossed my mind. And I thought about keeping her skull because, you know, I'm all the time messing with masks and Halloween decorations, stuff like that. I was like, you know.
For those of you keeping track, Scott is now referred to the victim.
Keep it as a Halloween mask. Her skull, her face? You was gonna rock that as a mask, as a Halloween decoration? Are you dead? Bro, take him to jail.
Victim is a slaughtered animal and is now comparing her to a Halloween decoration,
Yes, he did.
further indicating how little regard he had for Lisa Hyder's
He
life.
damn sure did.
Eventually, the exhausted detectives wrap up the nearly 3-hour interview by reading Scott's overwrought confession back to him, and he signs it. Gregory Scott Hale pleaded guilty to first-degree murder on January 15, 2015. And though on the surface this may seem as though he was finally taking responsibility for his actions, in recent years he claims he was charged and sentenced unjustly on the grounds of religious persecution, the religion in question implied to be Satanism. However, there's no concrete evidence that Gregory Scott Hale was a practicing theistic or atheistic Satanist, or were there any signs of satanic literature, paraphernalia, or religious symbolism found anywhere near the crime scene, aside from a crudely rendered Leviathan cross scribbled on a sheet of notebook paper on a dusty desk. Some point to one Leviathan cross as a sign that Scott was a practicing Satanist. However, on this same desk, in a place of equal prominence, there was a Star Trek fan collective Borg DVD. But few have pointed to this as evidence that he worshipped the Borg Queen. Scott never mentioned Satanism or any other alternative belief systems in his interview. While a handful of the news articles written after his arrest briefly bring up Satanism as a possible motive, it appears they're basing the assumption that Scott worshipped the devil on his love of metal music, the album covers of which adorn his Facebook page, and dark.
Had a cool day today. Hey, my name is Scott, man. I had a cool day today. I hung out with an old friend that I played music with back in the day, and I listened to some tapes. We recorded those jamming. Man, he ain't talking about shit. I thought he was talking about
comedy. Scott also goes on to complain that all of the articles only include the bad things about him, allegedly writing, "Y'all only put up the bad. I've been told by a couple of people who really know me and who wrote positive things about me, or said positive things, and for some reason that..."
But don't, if you believe in the devil, don't you want like everything to be opposite? So if somebody say something bad about you, wouldn't you like that? You pick your road, gang. You want to be on that side, I'm just saying, you're going to get all negativity.
That never gets published. But people who don't really know me that speaks only diluted BS that is secondhand BS and bad about me, y'all want to smear that all over the paper. Regardless, the family of Lisa Marie Hyder can rest assured that the man who brutally murdered and dismembered this young mother of 6 will rot in prison for the rest of his life.
Rest of his